we are going to do the different ways that you can, connect between Power BI and Excel. And I'll start from the ones that I find useful to the ones that I'm still exploring. So hopefully you will get a lot of nice takeaways from this. So let us start first with the aspect of Power BI that most people tend to neglect, which I don't think it's good, because there's a lot of value in it. Ordinarily too, I probably would not worry too much about it. But in the beginning, all the actions were in this place. So because I started following Power BI around 2015. So in the beginning, there was even no desktop, Power BI desktop. It used to be in Excel as different apps. So it used to be in Excel as my screen is no longer right. That's strange. Wow. Okay, so it used to be in Excel as Power BI. Let me just get as a Power Tools anyway. So that was how Power BI, around 2015, when I started to be aware of it. That was how I got exposed to it. So there was no Power BI desktop. There was no DAX. Was a very nobody thinks when you think of Power BI, then you focus more about the visuals, the enhancements they had. And so when Power BI trans became more of something that was now Power BI, the desktop, pardon my handwriting, and then this got split into desktop, Power BI service, then there's even Power BI mobile. It used to be integrated with Cortana, but somehow they stopped, where you can even from Cortana access your reports. Then there's Power BI mobile, where on your phone, I hope you use it on your phone too. Well, for me, I find some aspect of it useful to keep track of some things I'm in track. So what I want to point out is that nowadays I see people focusing just on this, because that's where most of the new updates, when Power BI says they've added new features, a lot of time 90% of the features are this. When people talk about Power BI is difficult or is powerful, they're always talking about the DAX, the Power Query, and gradually people stop paying attention to this. But because when I started, most of the things that were hippie about it were the things that were possible to do using the Power BI service. So that I kept it as a habit to keep following up on what is happening there, right? So I'm hoping that today's session will help you to see there is a lot of value that you leave off the table when you don't use this Power BI service. So Power BI service, I hope you know how it looks like. So I've logged in to save time. And then let's start with get data. They keep changing things around there, but still the value of what it can do that you can't do with the other ones are still a lot. So let's start with, as you can see on my screen, let me increase the zoom. I hope you see my screen clearly. So as you can see on my screen, you can connect directly to database, to files. Since we are talking about Excel and Power BI, let's go straight to the files. So I click on file, and then I can pick file from my PC, right? My local storage on my device here. I can pick from OneDrive, if you have a business account, OneDrive. From personal OneDrive, I can pick from SharePoint. So I'm going to demo these two, because once you know how to do for OneDrive business, is similar for OneDrive personal, and even similar for SharePoint. So I will show us these two right now. So I have here a file that we'll use for the demonstration. All right, so I'm going to save this file on my PC. And as you can see, the content of the file, it has, let's change this to dates so that it looks a bit more interesting. So I'm going to say all the sales made today. Today's date is, let's use another date that is not a Sunday. So let's say like go for August 2020. Okay, so I'm going to save this file, but I'm saving it on my PC. So I'm going to call it Office Hour 9. This is Office Hour 9 demo. And I'm going to save it somewhere, say my documents. Let me save it desktop. Well, document is not bad to save. All right, so now that I've saved it on my document in my PC, let's go and grab it. For those of you joining, there's going to be a recorded session. So the aspects you miss, you can always watch during the recording. So I'm demonstrating the different ways you can work between Power BI and Excel. So, I mean, let me just repeat that part. I mean, when you log into Power BI service, if you go to get data, right? So I want to show how we can bring in Excel files and what is different about bringing in Excel file through this approach. A lot of us are familiar with bringing in through this desktop. So this desktop is overthought, in my own opinion. All right, so let's go to get, and then I'm in local file. I want to start with that one. And then I go to where I've saved it. And it's the last file I've saved, which is Office Hour 9. I click on it. Now, I didn't close the file. Doesn't worry, it doesn't matter if I close, right? Notice something about the file. This is it. I don't want to say too much, but you've seen what the file looks like, right? Now I'm going to bring it into Power BI. I say open. Now I get two options. It's asking me import and it's asking me upload. So without saying too much, let me do import, right? You can read the grammar. Import Excel data into Power BI, connect to the data, blah, blah, right? But let's do the import and let's see what will happen now. Can you see this? We couldn't find any data formatted as a table in your Power BI and in your Excel file. So when you try to import, as you ordinarily would have done, if I was using desktop, this Power BI, let me just increase my zoom. If I was using the Power BI desktop and I do the very same step, I'm not going to have that issue. So let's go to desktop. No, sorry, documents where I have that file, and then it's loading. Let me exit the zoom. Right, you see that it's not complaining. This is the kind of experience I was hoping for too, right? I can instantly start to load the file into Power BI, and it's the very same file. How come that one is complaining, right? Why? Now the thing is, when you do local file and you pick Excel, right? This will only import data that are formatted as table. You know how to format as table. If I select these records and I go to format as table, format as table. So if I go to format as table, this one.
Control T, I think that will work.
Yes, Control T too works. So don't mind me. I sometimes like to use the menu items so that, because sometimes you'll be like, what was the keyboard shortcut you pressed? So it doesn't matter which of the design style I pick. Let me just stick to this. I'm a blue kind of person these days. I'm almost always picking blue almost for everything. So once I do this, right, now that I've done this, let's see what difference will happen. So I'm just going to save it so that this recent change is saved. And I go here, and now I'm picking the same file. And let's see if it will make the same complaint. So if I do import, you see now it's no longer complaining. It has successfully done something. Let's go check out what it has done. So let me just go look for it. You see, it has imported into my data set. I hope you can see on my left side of the screen. On that data set, I have something showing. So if I go here, I have access to that data. You know, even though if I can't see the content in terms of the way I will see it here, I can start doing the kinds of things I want to do, like reports. I can drop in a matrix table there and say I want to see, you know, by dates, by salespersons, by sales rep. I want to see the quantity sold. I want to see the sales amount. I don't have sales amount. Okay, so I can start saying all those things, right? It's a bit tiny, but you can see my screen, I hope. So I can do all those kind of analysis I want to do. So I get the same experience in terms of what I can build as I would have been able to build, except formulas that you can't do on that side, DAX that you can't do. So I get similar experience. Okay, so now that that is clear, as for what we've just demoed now is we did import, right? So let's go and, let me just save it. Demo, Office 9 demo. So I'm going to go back to this get data. So we go back to get data. I go to file. I go to same local file. I pick the same file. But now we've demonstrated import. So let's do upload. Now, if you do upload, you're just going to get similar experience as you would have with using Excel Online. So what it does, it instantly puts it under workbook section. So you're going to have the thing showing under the workbook section of your workspace, right? And if you click on it, it's as if you are looking at Excel on the web. So this can be good for things that you are, it's just for display, not necessarily like you want to compute anything with it. You just want to display them. So I know of some companies that the targets for the year is just the finance guy, is the head of finance who gives target, and he likes to change it at his own will. He is not comfortable with at least some kind of target. There are some targets he sets that are not like budget now. They are just targets that he gives to some people, and he just wants to have full control over it. They are not too critical to put on a database, and he wants to be able to change it as he deems fit. And he's not using it to make any computation, but he wants the guys under him to always have access to it, to view it, and to see whatever he has changed it to. So for that, he can use this, and he can share with them. So that's just the experience. There's a lot to share. I don't want to talk too much, but I know as you get the concept, you'll be able to explore them more. So that's that one. Okay. Now, what about, so let's go back here. Let's go back to files, right? So I've demoed local file. What about OneDrive? So if I click on OneDrive, it will, if you've not logged, well, it will use your Power BI account to also detect which OneDrive you are connected to. So your login works directly here. Because we are using the same, I want to use the same demo file. So what I will do is I'm going to turn on autosave so that this thing will save on my OneDrive, and we will pick the very same file. But now we are going to use OneDrive. So I deliberately made the file not so long so that it can save faster. I think it's done, right? So I go back here. I'm going to refresh. Let me just back out a step. So I'm going to just maybe go here, go somewhere else, then come back here. OneDrive. Modified dates. I want to use that. Okay, this is it. Office hour demo. I think it arranges default by in alphabetical order. Anyway, I've seen it. That's all I need. I'm going to connect to it. So again, you get to choose one of these options. Now you already understand what they do, right? So I'm going to pick import because what I want to show you will work for imports. I want to show you something extra that you get when you do OneDrive, and it's something very important because there are times where this feature is what you want. You know, it's like a deal breaker, that something you ordinarily would have connected to on your PC, on your local storage, you will deliberately now move it to OneDrive because of this thing I want to show you. So what I want to show you is this data that I'm bringing in via OneDrive. Oh boy, I need to have renamed. How do I know which is which? Well, I will suspect that the one I just brought in now is the second one. So it's under the refresh. You see, if I go to refresh, let me just verify that this is the one from the OneDrive. Then if that is the one from the OneDrive, I will rename it. Let's check. Oh, so this is the one from the OneDrive. Let me rename it now. Rename, I'm going to call it OneDrive. OneDrive. So that way, I'm not going to be confusing myself. Okay, so now we will easily see the difference, that there is one that is just from our local file and there's the other one that is OneDrive. So now if I go to refresh, schedule refresh, this is the advantage I get. You see this? I find very useful that, can you see, it allows the file to be updated on an hourly basis. So every hour it's by itself automatically updating. I don't have to do any complicated step in addition. Whereas the one that I brought in from my local file, right, I have to come here and set, where is it, data set, this one. Where is the refresh part? Okay, let me just go back here. Okay, anyway, for that one, I will, maybe because I've not yet used it in any report, that's why it's not showing the refresh part. Let's see. Okay, good. I've saved this, I think. So if I come back here and I go to, well, I don't want to waste too much time on that one. The key thing I just want to point out is that for this OneDrive one, you don't have to set schedule refresh to get hourly refresh. And you know, with schedule refresh, for those of us that are not on premium, you can only do 8 hours a day. This is like 24 hours a day. Okay, and also if you are doing the local file, you have to set gateway. So you see, there's a whole lot of things that can break it, and you don't get as close as hourly refresh. So I have cases where people decide to put their files on OneDrive just because of this. That way we can be able to take advantage of the hourly refresh. So now that that is out of the way, let us go again to what other things. So I'm going to go to Excel. So I'm back here in Excel, right? Now in Excel, we have, let me zoom. If you have any suggestions, if you have anything to say, you can unmute and say, you know, if there's something that you feel I should mention in a particular step, in an aspect that I'm on, you can say, oh, Michael, what about this? Or if there's something that I'm not even saying that I'm not aware of, you can even take control and like, okay, there's something there that it will be cool to show others. So now in Excel too, there are ways. In fact, there's like an add-in for Power BI now in Excel. Let's see if I have it in mind, because sometimes when you install Power BI, that add-in sort of automatically comes too. So let me just check if in mine it is there, then I can turn it on. Okay, so I'm trying to, this zooming stuff sometimes slows down the movement of my screen. Let me check first the Excel add-ins. I don't think it will be in Excel add-in, it's not there. So let's go to the COM add-ins. So if I go to the COM add-in category, let's check if I'll find it there. Add-ins. I go to COM add-ins, click on go. Okay, I have these, that. Let's see if you spot anything that says Power BI. Okay, so it's no longer in mine as in that aspect. So it is to be that it will have its own dedicated ribbon. So however, let's go out to the ones that I know are still there, that I don't have to bring it as an add-in. So if you go to pivot table under insert, you can now directly connect. We all understand the traditional pivot table, but now you can create a pivot table straight out of a data set you have access to in Power BI. So let me zoom out so that you can see. If I've not logged in, it's going to, I will have to log in, but because I've already logged in into my organizational account, it will sync up with Power BI, display all the data sets I have access to, and then I can pick any of them that I want to maybe create some analysis in Excel from. So let's see this is Office Hour 9, right? So I'm going to pick it. And by default, it creates a new sheet in your Excel that it will want to make the Power BI to be an error occurred. Why? Let me just tell it to retry. It's a small data set. It's brought me back here again. Office Hour 9. It's created a new sheet again. It better works. Okay, I'm going to pick something else. I don't know why that one is. Make sure you have permission to data. The model. I'm going to pick something else. Let me pick this one. This has a lot. That's the problem, huh? Well, it's just for demonstration. We're not going to do. It doesn't matter if what is inside is something that I can easily explain. I just want you to see the end-to-end of the experience. So this is very good if you already have some data in Power BI. Instead of you always duplicating things, and you know your data in Power BI benefits from auto refresh. So this way you will always be connecting to the refreshed version of the data. So these kinds of fix the problem of Excel cannot automatically, well, the only problem is ordinarily too in Excel, if you have right click and do refresh, it will go and refresh. So that is a tough sell. But you can see the experience that I can now say I want to this is data around stocks. So I can say I want the name of the company. So it's the name of the company's here is like company name. That's why I didn't want to use this. This has too much information that can be a bit confusing. So let me just go to NSE daily. Okay, I even know what I can use. I can use the parallel market FX rate. So I can add date to row. So you can see what our exchange rate has been, for the last couple of weeks. In fact, going far back to 2018, and then what has been the US dollar buy. So let's say USD. Okay, this is really cool, but USD should be in value. I want to see it in values. Why can't it play USD in value? Anyway, okay. No problem. We're going to fix it manually. So at least with this up to this stage, you can begin to visualize what you can do with it, right? So I'm going to just turn off some things to make it look a bit more meaningful. So, you can see how our exchange rate has been over the years. I can plot this over on a chart, and I can start to see, how things have been going really bad in the space of 2 years, and the data is coming directly from Power BI. So that's one. Let's move on. Now the other thing is, let me create a new sheet. Let me go to an empty sheet so that what I'm showing is something that you will not be distracted by this anymore. Okay, so I've just showed us pivot table and then from Power BI. The only problem is that this experience is not on all versions of Excel. Depending on the license you are on the type you are on, you might not see this. Okay, but if you see it, you can do what I'm showing you. Okay, so I move on to another aspect of Excel that has something that relates to Power BI. So I move to data. And if you go to data, you can do get data, and you can get from Power BI. This is the replica of, so far that's the experience I've seen. It replicates exactly what I get from doing this. Okay, so if I go there and I say get data, okay, no, it's not a replica. There are some advantages that you get, though. If you go to your Power Query, you will still see, but this one makes it a bit more transparent. Instead of just directly taking the data to pivot table for you, it shows you, well, you can load it to model, you can begin to do some stuff. So it just loads it into the data model in Power BI in your Excel, which is like your Power Query anyway, and then you can take it to whatsoever you want it to be. Maybe you just want it to reflect in. So let me try again with this that doesn't have so much data. Let's see if it will not complain again. There must be really something wrong with that one. So let me just go back. Let me just pick something else. I want to pick, what did we do in Office Hour 8? Let's try what we used last week. I think last week we did the one around survey, connecting Microsoft Forms, and okay, so this one worked. Okay, so this one works fine, and this is what I mean by similar experience. You can see instantly it's brought up pivot table. I think it's similar then, because even if I want to go to the data model, I have to go there myself and, you know, say get data and go to the launch query editor. Let's see if it will expose it to us in the data model. Let's just see. I've not had to check if it does, but let's go check. Okay, so it doesn't expose it to us. It's the exact replica of that one. So you can just take it as the exact replica of what you get if you go to insert and you do from Power BI, right? Because you get exactly the same thing. It brings up a pivot table field. Okay, so I'm going to increase the zoom again so that you can see my screen. So at this stage, we have done up to, we are here, and we've shown how you can from Power BI here. Okay, now the other part that relates to Power BI again in Excel is this one. So you see this organization data type. At first, this word is confusing, you know, because I thought it meant it will pull in the data around our, like for those of us who use Microsoft Exchange, we use a whole lot of Microsoft's Office product suite, that I can be able to see all my other staff, all my colleagues and all. No, that's not what it translates to. What it translates to is this, that in Power BI, the data sets that I mark as, so let us go to my organization workspace. So if I go to my organization workspace, and let's look at all the data sets I have access to and what's inside this. Let's just take a look at this so that I will know which one will make sense to use for what. Okay, I can use the state and local governments, right? I think this one will make a lot of sense. So let me just go to states and local government, and let's take a look at what the data looks like. States and local government. Okay, so this is all the states in Nigeria and the different local, so it makes sense. I think this is going to make good sense for what I want to do. Just to let you see how it looks like in a more meaningful way. Let me Aha, so you can see that there are states and then the different local governments in those states. Let me zoom in. Okay, so this is something that I might want to pull into my Excel so that I can be able to type Abia as a state. And I will have, if I click on organization, you know, it will resolve it and see, okay, Abia has this state, has these local government, has something about it. Right now, it's not going to work because I need to do some steps. I just want you to understand that that's how it works. So right now, it's going to say it couldn't find it, right? But then let's go see what we need to do to make it work. So if I go to data sets, that's data and LGA. So if I go to data sets again, data sets. Let me exit here. Don't save. Okay, so data sets. And I go here. You see this endorsement stuff, right? That's the thing you need to do actually. You need to endorse the data set. So if I go here and go to settings for this data set, and I'm here. Okay. So if you're an admin, you can be able to do certify. If you're not an admin, it will prompt the admin. Only the admin can certify. So promote means, let me just explain all what you see here anyway. The default, well, organizational data type, you mark it public, all those normal things you get asked when you are connecting to a data set, and it will ask you, do you want to tag it as public or as organizational, you know. So that's whatever default you pick there is what flows if you leave it at this endorsement level. If you put it at promoted, it means that Power BI is going to, if there is any conflict in terms of resources, when we say resources, things like you want to pull in data from Excel or from Excel, or need to use it in some kinds of things that will be shared amongst your colleague, and there are two identical data sets that Power BI can resolve to, is going to pick the one that is marked as promoted, because that means you are saying this is a more authentic data set. So it's just you deliberately marking this data set as something that you will encourage other people in your company to use. So maybe there's the HR, there's the employee data coming from our ERM, a database, and then same HR department has the same employee data in Excel, and both data sets are in Power BI. I will go and mark the one that is coming from the HRM tool or ERP or database. I can mark it promoted so that that one gets a preference over the one that is in the Excel file that is being imported by this HR department. So you get the concept anyway. But certified is what makes us able to use it in Excel. So if I mark this data set as certified and I say apply, the downside is it takes a bit of time before it reflects. So ordinarily, once it's done, the same thing. If I click on Abia, in fact, let us refresh. If I go back to Power BI, if I go back here, or even data, and I go to get data and I say from Power BI, and it shows me all my data set, I should start seeing that data set as certified. Certified in the context of how Microsoft is beginning to do that, it means that this will be used in applications, used in templates, used in things that, especially in this case where I want to even pick it up in Excel, and meaning that anybody in our organization, so if another of my colleagues logs into his or her own Excel, is going to be able to see those things. After a while, those things will show here. You see NSC is showing here. It's because I created NSC and marked it as certified, right? NSC is coming from inside this NMD one. After some time, this one too, whatever I've marked from inside, it will show up in here anyway. So let's move on. for now, if I still do this ABI, it's not going to work because I have not, it takes a bit of time for the thing to sync. That's just the issue with it. So let's see. Oh, there's one other thing I need to do. I need to also, I pray I have this in my, there's one more step you need to do here. So I will show you the step from the one I've done. So I'm going to open that NMD that I've done. After you mark it as certified, you also need to come to, let me just open it. You need to come here and indicate what will be the primary identifier. So that's what it will use to resolve this name. Okay, so right now it will not even resolve until I do that. But because of time, I will just show you the one I've done before. Then you can try it out on your own. I will demo for you how it works in the end. So I'm opening the one that I've done is a large file, so that's why it's taking a bit of time. Huh? Any questions so far? If there are questions, let me just check. I can see that some things are coming up in the conversation side, the chat box. Hello, Michael. My Power BI service is showing up HTTP 500 error. I have no idea why that should be happening. Just go to powerbi.com. So go to powerbi.com. It will ask you to sign in. So try that approach. I don't know how you try to log in before now. Okay, so now this has come up, right? So the other aspect I need to do is when I go to right here before, even if you have published before, you must come back here and do this step and republish again. Don't mind, I have a lot of data here. That's why it's looking like this, kind of like a table tennis bat. So that particular one I exposed is called NSE. Let me do the zoom again. So for me, what I did was I said, out of all these tables that I have in my Power BI data set that I've certified, the one that I want to allow is this one. And so the one step you need to do is you need to turn is a featured table. You need to do this. By default, it's not on. If I go to another table, you will see that does not have, those tables do not have them. So the table that I want to expose to particularly Excel now in this case, so that I will be able to click on organization and it will work. That table, I need to come back to Power BI desktop and mark that table as is featured. So when you mark it as it's featured, let me try and do it for another one. So let me try and do it for this one. So when you turn it on, it will ask you for some things. So it's going to ask us. So it's supposed to ask us something. Let me unzoom. So yeah. Then let me zoom again. So it's going to ask us to select. Select the row label. You can add a description. Select a column that is going to be the key column, so that whenever it's resolving what you have picked in Excel, this is what we use to resolve it and say, okay, almost like when we do VLOOKUP, right, in Excel. So let me just show you the one I've done so that you can see how it translates nicely to what I now do when I go to Excel. So I selected that the ticker. So for all the data I have in that table, the thing that is unique that I know that people will type. So if it was for your own employees, it might be the employee ID. It might be name anyway, if you want it to be named. The only problem is that if you pick name, what if two employees have the same name? So that was why I had to pick something that I know no two record we have. So I picked symbol or ticker if you are familiar with stock market. So once I did this step now and I published again, I now get this amazing thing where, you know, I can type a company that is existing on our stock exchange. So let me show you what that table looks like. So this table now, if I show you here the content of the table, you will see how nicely it's been, the information in it are now being exposed to me in in Excel. So I am able to pick any company. Let's just demo with a company. Well, Access Bank. So let's just go with Access Bank. And as you can see, I can see the details of Access Bank, right? So this is cool. But what is cooler about it is the fact that with what I've just shown you, with that certifying the data here, with this step of certifying it, right? And making it a featured table here, I can go to Excel, and all of my colleagues in the company too can do what I'm doing. And I can type access, right? And what do? I go to organization here. I click on organization and wait for it. Wait. Voila. We see something that looks unusual. And if I expand, can you see this? It's all of those information that I have about it here. Those are the same information that is being exposed to me here. And I can say I want to see what is the current share price. So what's the current price close? Where's price close? Price close. Right? I can say I want to see what is the price to earning ratio. And just think about something that is important to you, your vendors. You can be able to see their data right from inside Excel, and everybody can see it. So it's not a case of you have to be asking someone to send you the list, because once we have the updated list in Power BI, everybody in the company can get exposure to it. You can use it to expose whatsoever you want to make available organizational wide. So that's the cool thing about these new data types. And for me, this is what I find useful for me, and that's why I've been using it for that. Okay, it even has stocks, just that the stocks does not work for Nigerian stocks yet. So if you do Apple or stocks on, I think it works. Well, I know it works for US stocks. I don't know about other countries. I just know that it doesn't work for Nigeria yet. It asks me to pick from which exchange. So let's say from NASDAQ, and I select. And you're going to see that similar thing as what happened to what I showed you for the one I did. Okay. Any question on this one before I move to something else? Okay, so Carlos is asking, this looks like an intense model. Well, it has a lot of tables. That's the only thing. The key thing I just want to point out is that if you mark a table as certified, so the moment you mark a data set in Power BI as certified, so the moment you mark a data set, as certified. So this is like step one, right? And you go also to the Power BI desktop file for it. Maybe you should have even done this ahead if you know that that's what you want to do. And you go here and you again mark that particular table. Let me just do this. When one is using more than one screen, a lot of things just keep going, acting weird. All right, so I think this should do what I want to show you. And you go here and you deliberately mark as featured the table in that data set. So this is like your step 2, which is like final step anyway. So once you do these 2 steps, right, from this moment onwards, in Excel, let me go to an empty sheet. In Excel, from this moment onwards, you will be able to type anything from that. So let me type Nestle. which is a company in that my data set, and I click on organization, it will immediately resolve to looking for where in all my certified data sets and featured table is there an entry called Nestle. And when it finds it, it shows me all the other things I can pull about it, right? So that's just what I want you to be aware of, that, you know, this now makes it possible for us as a company or working with people anyway, that the information that people like to use a lot, we just do this for them. So they can always, if I'm in procurement, we can do this for our vendors. So that way I can always type a vendor name and I can get information about what is the address of that vendor, who is the contact person, you know, those kind of information that people are always asking somebody else about. And it's not like the information are confidential. It's just because, well, it's not easy to get to the most recent version of it. So you just always have to ask someone else for what is the most recent version of that information. So that is what this one makes possible, right? Okay, so I'm going to move on to another aspect of it. So let's go back here. If you go here, can you see this thing that says analyze in Excel updates? Right. So we already know what Power BI desktop is. So this is the one I want to show because I want to talk about all the things that relate to Excel and Power BI. So I'm going to click on this, right? It's going to want to download. So yes, go ahead and download something. It's going to download a connector. So start download. I hope it's not a large file. It's a fairly large file. So while that one is downloading, so that we see how it works, I can move on to something else. So the something else I want to move on to is, now I go here. No. Excel. Yeah. Excel. Yes. Okay, so even in your get data, right? There are a lot of interesting ways too you can get data that ultimately links back to Excel. Sorry, I meant this is the one I should be in, this one. There are more interesting ways than just you clicking on Excel. You know, we all know that if I click on Excel, it just goes straight ahead and gets me from Excel. I can get from web. And it's Excel I want to get from, right? So let us see how that works. So I'm going to go back here. So if there is a file that has been shared with me, let's see if I have a file that has been shared with me. Okay, so let's talk about this file. So this file here, I want to use it. I want to bring it into my Power BI, right? So what do? I say open in desktop app. So I say open in desktop app, which means it will open in Excel. What I'm demonstrating now is if you want to connect to the Power BI desktop, you want to connect your SharePoint data, your OneDrive data. So once you do that, this will open up, right? And it's because I'm on the same file, that's why you're not noticing this. Let me go and open a different file from the one I'm in. So I'm going to go and open one we used last week. So I'm going to go back to my documents. I will browse for a file we used last week. I think last week we did a survey. So I'm going to pick that one and you will see how this works for that. So last week was something survey. I hope I can find it. Well, even if I don't find it, I can pick something else. It's not compulsory that I pick exactly. Yeah, this will work. This will work. I hope I don't have the same file open up in it. Let me close. Okay. All right, so I've closed anything that looks like that. All right, so if I come here and I say open in desktop, right? So once I open in desktop, it's going to open up. It might take a while if it's a large file. I hope it's not a large file I have clicked on, so that it doesn't take too long. What I want to demo to you is how you can connect Power BI to Excel on OneDrive, but not the Power Service. We have already done the Power BI service approach. We've already done this one using this approach. So we are not using this approach anymore. We want to use the approach that involves from here. Okay, I'm going to launch this after. Maybe I should just launch it so it's be installing in the background. Okay, it's complaining something. We'll come back to that. So I want to explain how we do that from the Power BI desktop, right? I have like 7 more minutes. So this has opened now, right? Okay, you go to File, you go to Info. This is compulsory. Whenever you want to connect your Power BI desktop to Excel, OneDrive, or even SharePoint, or yeah, those OneDrive and SharePoint. So I come here and I click on this copy path because I need this path. I'm going to click on copy path. You won't notice anything, but it has copied to the clipboard, right? So let me just zoom. I'm here and I go here. We all know it's Excel I need. So even though I'm picking a web, I'm picking web. Ultimately, the data is in Excel on OneDrive. So I paste what I've copied. I knock off this web. I knock off that this part of it, this one. So I delete them. So this is, as we all know, this is an Excel file, Excel extension, and I click OK. Let me unzoom so that you will see what will come out in the end. So this is how you can connect to a file that is on OneDrive if you want to use it in your desktop, your Power BI desktop. Okay, so this is another way you can connect between Excel. So now this is Excel Online and Power BI desktop. So let's say I pick this one. Right, so I pick this data that's what I want to bring in, and I do load. Maybe I don't want to transform. Okay. All right, so that is clear. We all know what will happen when that is done. Okay, anybody has anything he wants to share? Time is up. Any comment, any questions, I hope I've been able to show you some things that hopefully are new to you and useful. Right, anybody saying anything? Any question? Okay, if no questions, then we're going to end the class here. Okay, so as general, I'm going to make the recording available to us, but the way you will get the notification is if you are on the community link. So this is the community link. So please make sure you join this community. Join the community so that you will always be in loop of reminders and all of that. And you can even email me. You can. There's a what is it called, like a conversation trail stuff there. This version has been detected. Would you like to upgrade? Oh, okay, so it's going to work then. Okay, let's carry on. Maybe this will work. I thought this was an error it was saying. I didn't even know it's saying that I have a version that needs to be upgraded. So you know this one is that one where I went here and said analyze in Excel, right? So that downloaded this, and I'm going to install it. I'm going to install it on my C drive anyway. I don't have enough space. What has eaten my space? Let me see what I can delete. The rate at which the space goes off on my PC is alarming. So let me just look for what I can take out. I think I know what has eaten up the space between yesterday and now. It's all this recording I did. You can see a recording of 8 gig. Oh my God, that recording is important. So, well, bad luck. So I'm going to just refresh. I hope it says. So I'm going to restart the whole. I'm going to start the whole installation again. I'm going to start the installation all over. So I go to open. Yes. Yes. I accept. Next. Install. Any questions so far? And if you want to watch the recording of the previous sessions, let me just grab for us that one. There is a YouTube playlist that is dedicated just for all the office hours, and so you will always see the Power BI office hours there too. So let me just paste there the recordings here. These ones will come up later in the week. In fact, after this session, I will go and sleep. I'm tired. I started since 2 p.m. today, and I still have a master's assignment I have to submit. I have one client that I have not touched his. I hope he's not on this call. I've touched his work. I've not done it to a place where he will be happy. Okay, so let's just see what will happen with this, so that since we're almost done with the installation, let's finish off with it and experience how you can analyze the data you have in Power BI in Excel. Okay. There's another thing I was thinking of showing you. Maybe I can just sneak that one to him. If you go to insert menu and you go to get headings and you type Power BI there are some. If you type Power BI here, okay. Can't find it anymore. There is one that I was planning to show you, but it's no longer here. I don't know why. All right, so let's just not worry about that one anymore. I'm going to finish off with that installation. So it's finished. I'm hoping it will install something in my Excel. So if I go on Power BI here and I'm on any report, if I'm looking at any reports and I go here and I'm looking for analyze in Excel. This is not making my life easy. Let me go to a dashboard. Okay, I think we'll just end it here. So I wanted to show you how I can pull in that data, any particular thing, and say I want to analyze it in Excel, and instantly to bring me in here. But I see they've moved things around. It used to be here that once you go here, you will see it as part of the things you can access in those 3 dot ellipses. This one here, you see analyze in Excel, and you click on it, and it will take advantage of that stuff that I've done. But somehow things have changed again. So thank you. I'm going to end it here. Have a nice rest of the weekend. Any questions, any comments before I say bye-bye and I end the session here? Okay, so if no comment, no anything, have a nice rest of the Sunday. Have a great week ahead. Bye-bye.